morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world. And welcome back to World Online Racing PC Tier 2 here for Season 22. And tonight, we could crown the Season 22 champion. It's a bit far-fetched. It is still a long season to go, but Zorzo does have his first opportunity tonight. But he does need an absolute miracle, and he must win the race with the top 7 in the standings not scoring if he wants any chance of taking that title. But as you can see by Hyper alongside me, whose first appearance in the Tier 2 comms box in a long while, we are here at Australia. How are you, Hyper? It should be a very fantastic race this evening.
I'm looking at the sun, getting sunburnt. There's a couple of spiders down here, the big ones as well. But I tell you what, it is going to be amazing. I'm looking forward to the Australian Grand Prix. It's one of those tracks where there is more chance of overtaking. It is one of those tracks where you get a bit of action, a little bit of drama, and particularly when we've had such a dominant force in this championship, particularly on this Tier 2 side, everyone's got a target on Diego's back to kind of tell him that you're not going to win it today, and we want to close down this gap.
Yes, certainly they will. Let's quickly have a look at the drivers' standings. Drivers are heading into qualifying. There are some drivers out on the circuit, but I'll quickly run you through your top 10. It's Diego Zorzo, who's that commanding 76-point lead over Aaron Raminguez. Absolute domination from the Spaniards so far. Last week was the first race of the season. He had not won, and that was won by the man down in 5th in the standings, Ryan Bakar, 27 points to his name. Scored 2 before last week. A brilliant result for him. But it's Raminguez from Kokeni in 3rd on 28 points. Scott Holmes tied with Kokeni still with 28 apiece. There's Bakar 5th. Van Erven in 6th. SD 7th. Contino 8th. Bohm 9th. And Tom Roberts rounding out that top 10. There was a few penalties given to Tamash Kokeni last time out after the incidents we saw heading into the stadium section. So that promoted Zorzo back up through the order as he got his 10 seconds removed. But drivers are now out onto the road. We are here, of course, at Australia, Albert Park. And our first driver on a lap time is Alejandro as he comes to the end of the first sector.
Yeah, Alejandro absolutely had a tanker of understeer going into turn 1. So I am quite surprised that his lap did not get invalidated because all 4 wheels did cross the white line, but the game deciding, nah, he probably lost too much time that we're not even going to warrant a penalty against him. But nonetheless, Alejandro, for the second part of this lap, a lot cleaner, a lot more in check, traffic staying majority out the way. So potential here to make a half-decent banker, but it would be a true banker lap.
Yeah, it certainly is just going to be one of those laps. You get on the board, get a little bit of a delta and go again. And, of course, he's had a lot of traffic to deal with too. But no, elects to dive it straight into pit lane. I think next on the list of the lap will be Ryan Modler. Of course, a tricky start to the season so far for Ryan. Not really picked up too many points. After finishing 2nd place last season, you thought he could have been the favourite for the title, but it is Diego Zorzo doing that. So it's a 14-6 for Ryan Modler as he leads this session underway. That's the benchmark for everybody to beat. The question is, how far will we beat it by? And how much will this track improve as the session continues?
It should drop down a lot further as we're going to get more and more drivers coming in. Lucas Shea going to be the next one to cross the line. As well, I say the next one. Dennis was the next one to get a lap down, but Cameron Dodds, 14.5. I feel we could see this go quite far to maybe the 14.3s, unless I'm being ludicrously delusional. But I feel if we are able to hit that territory, then we're going to get a bit more guarantees. As Isaac Lett, well, a 14.4 might blow my 14.3 number out the park at this rate.
We certainly might indeed, as Astabella now up into 3rd place on a 14.556. 3 thousandths quicker than Lucas Shea. We have Oscar now coming up to the line. Oscar Fanaya, he's now down in 9th place at the moment. He moves himself up into 3rd. just separating Rosen and also Valentino Labella. What about Gabor Jontos? What's he doing on his lap time? He's now coming through the final couple of corners. Of course, he won on track in Vegas. Hasn't really been able to repeat that form he had in that opening round. Across the line he shall go, and he now goes quickest of all when we do beat that 1 minute 14.3 this early into the session. It's a 14.2 from Gabor Jontos. We know he's quick. Here, Australia, Zorzo up into second place, just falls shy. Of course, a big evening this could be for Zorzo. Could take that championship if everything goes his way. But that's a spectacular lap from both Jontos and Zorzo. They see themselves a 10th clear as Galindo invalidates. Is Raminguez on a lap time? No, it does not seem so. Van Erven's invalidated as well. So all eyes look at Reis Imtiaz, who's also backed off. That's the first runs over and done with, as Alejandro is already out again on an outlap.
Wow, quickly getting himself prepped, ready, and this is the advantage of going this early. He has potential to do 4 runs if he really wished or wanted to here, but we're going to stick with Alejandro. The first turn was his big problem. A smack of understeer lost him here. A little bit of braking that just slid the car, but this time clean, precise. Whatever little adjustment he has done to that car has nailed this corner. But again, we're seeing a lot of flicks that is forcing mild understeer amongst a lot of these cars. I don't know if that's just the nature of the game and how you're supposed to attack it, but it is constant understeer on all drivers amongst all tiers.
Yeah, they certainly are. It's just due to how low you run the car and the downforce. The understeer just can wash you out ever so slightly. You're just flicking the car a little bit too aggressively into the corner. That's where it does tend to spike. And for Alejandro, as he makes his way through turns 9 and 10, that was beautifully done. Lovely amount of road used on the exit. Of course, not set a lap time so far. We weren't able to get a representative time at all from the V-Carb as he now makes his way through the final couple of corners, looking a lot more planted and a lot more committed this time around. Hasn't had the traffic for a distraction either, has just had a clean track to himself. So what's this going to be for Alejandro as he makes his way to the line? It's a 1:14.5, a tenth shy of the top 3, but a very decent opening lap time there from Alejandro. His debut so far this season, and he puts it up into the top 4. What a way to introduce yourself.
Clean every corner, using the right amount of curb, right amount of exit. We're now looking at slightly later braking, a little pickup earlier on the throttle to find that extra 10th or 2. That's all he needs to do to get himself onto top 3. But realistically, second row, I wouldn't complain at that as well. You're going to get the slipstream into turn 1, the slipstream into turn 3, and there's some 2 great overtaking zone opportunities off the start of a race. So I wouldn't be disappointed in a second row position here.
No, not at all, especially with your being your first race in the tier. You're usually thinking, midfield start, at least just get my nose in the door, and that will certainly do me well. But for Alejandro, he's come out the blocks firing, and he's already up into that top 4. But the question is, how much of that was track evolution that we've seen from this session so far, and how much of that was the raw pace that he does have? So as he now elects to come into pit lane, everybody else will slowly start to make their way out to the circuit. It's the man in 3rd place, just in front of Alejandro, Isaac Leet, now out onto the road. He needs to find around about a 10th and 200, so 1.2 tenths of a second, if he wants to snatch pole away from Gabor Jontos. But the big issue here as well is that, of course, you run so close to the walls and track limits here, Hyper, that you can easily see yourself just run that little bit wide or even cut too much of a corner, and that's your lap over before it even starts.
Yeah, 9, 10 easy areas to invalidate. Exit of turn 11, even the exit of 14, exit of 1. There's so many different areas that it's so easy to invalidate, and it's risk and reward. How much you're willing to push, how much you're willing to cut to get that extra 10th, or are you satisfied with your current position? So anybody who's 10th downward, I'd probably say anyone 6th downwards probably are going to take that risk. They know they got nothing to lose, while the top 6 are going to go, well, I can push more. I could definitely increase the slap time, but I also don't want to push too much that I risk going into the wall and I don't have that second or final run available to me.
Exactly. It's all about just monitoring how you take these early stages of the sessions. We now see Leet get underway on his second lap here in qualifying. Very nicely done for the opening 2 corners, carrying so much minimum speed through turns 1 and 2. Up into 3 now, down to 3rd gear, slowly bringing the car back through as you then flick to the left-hander of 4, flats out through 5. 6 is going to be this little kink left down the straight before you just lightly lift off the throttles and tap the brakes. 800ths up in that first sector was Isaac Leet, as he now will open up the DRS, heading through 8 and up into the middle sector split of turns 9 and 10. Just in front of him, he might catch up to a little bit of traffic. He's still up by a 10th of a second. He's doing everything he possibly can to take this pole position off Gabor Jontos at this current moment in time. Gets out of the way, does the McLaren quite nicely. Heading into turn 11 now. Nicely done there from Leet as he now makes his way through the final part of the lap of a little bit of traffic again into the penultimate corner. Goes a little bit wide from the apex. That could have cost him dearly. Through the final corner he comes. Can Leet snatch it away from Jontos provisionally? Up to the line he goes. Or will he just fall short? He does just fall short. He lost a bit of time in that final sector and he's 3,000 slower than Zorzo as Galindo goes to 4th.
I tell you what, that was 2 times we saw Isaac dip his tires off track. One coming into the entry of 9, just slightly dip the tires onto the grass. And then, oh my God, Tomas! 1:14.23, jumping up the grid. What a brilliant lap time from himself. As more drivers are slowly coming through. We'll break down that Isaac's lap a bit later as Pascal invalidated his lap, so nothing of an improvement on his side. Cameron in the positives right now, not finding any improvements on his side. I think I just saw Adrian jump up to 5th as well, I could be mistaken. Dennis Longrock comes across the line, 10th fastest, major improvement from himself. As we have an Aston Martin looking to cross the line next. I don't think that's for Joel Macard. Finds himself 7th fastest. Gabriel, improvement, but it's not enough to take that pole position. And that's horrible to see as the Mercedes has a huge gap as Alexandro! 1:14.22, able to close that gap down and increase his lead ahead.
Wow, Alejandro, this is certainly a debut you will want if you are this man in the V-Carb. Kokeni, of course, the man 2nd in the standings. Well, no, actually 3rd in the standings, sorry, behind Ramirez. 40 took that provisional pole away from Jontos, who invalidated. Then Alejandro comes from out of nowhere and sticks it onto that provisional pole spot. He showed some pace on his previous attempt, and in this attempt, he has certainly put his money where his mouth is and shot to the top of the times. But is that going to be it for Alejandro, or is he going to still be able to get one more run out of this qualifying session? Time will be of the essence. And also, does he have enough tyres to go again? What format has he gone for? Has he gone for the softer allocation, or the harder, or the balanced allocation? If he's on the harder and balanced, he'll only have 3 sets of tyres. He's used those. That'll be him out of qualifying. If he went softer, he could potentially see himself have one last throw of the dice. Cameron Dowd is not up on a lap time at the moment. He's going into pit lane as well. So the 2 V-Carbs left their laps very late as they now elect to dive into the pit lane. Everybody but Ray's Imtiaz has set a lap time so far. And it's still very close throughout this field, isn't it, Hyper? I mean, look at that, all the way down to Wojtek Steg. Around about half a second, separating 19 cars. That is absolutely insane. And if you're in the position of someone like Jensen Rosen, if you improve by a 10th of a second, you're seeing yourself up into that top 10.
Yeah, it's really close. It's not as close as I was expecting it, as it does pan out after the 9th position onwards. And there is a lot of room that anybody from 10th down can jump up into this upper section, get to the 1:14.3 territory. I think safety net of top 10 is going to be a 1:14.35. I think if you're within that region, top 10 is pretty secured. Anything less, you're going to be in this back group backpack, not going to do all too well. But poll times, looking at that, 14-1. A 14-1 with maybe a couple of extra numbers here and there should be enough to guarantee pole. If somebody magically brings it down to a 13, hats off to you. I don't see it happening, but we can dream in this scenario.
Yeah, we certainly can. Never say never. You don't know what these drivers still have left in the tank. And for Joel Marquardt, he's going to be the first driver to be setting a lap time. Currently on a 14.3, we'll need to find around about a 10th and a half if he wants any chance of rivaling Alejandro for that provisional pole position. And he might have a little bit of traffic coming his way when this lap does commence. Next after him will be Arrays MTS, the only driver so far in this session not to set a valid lap time. And the Alpine will be looking to finish this session off very strongly. He's been very good in qualifying his race, so he certainly will be wanting to at least break into that top 10. So, for Joel Marquardt, the final runs will begin now. So Hyper, on board of the Aston Martin, take us away for this final lap with the German.
You got to be so cautious on the exit of 14 because it's so easy to spin the car out and ruin the start of the lap before even getting across the start-finish line. Then it's a dab on that brake, down to 5th gear, and you really have to fight the car to swing it back and forth, and we are seeing Joel abort the lap. He messed up that first turn. He will have an opportunity, though, to quickly send his car around, do an extra cooldown, but we'll quickly go over to Riaz, as he will start his lap. Clean entry into the first turn, as here we go. Flick it in, cut as much as you can, force the car to grip, and then you use the car to drift off to the exit, and then heavy braking, flick, that's a huge flick of the front wheels, force a little bit of understeer, use the game mechanics to swing that car in, and then flat out. Keep your foot pressed. The aerodynamics will do the job. Little lift here, straight back onto the power, and then you power your way through the fastest section on this track, and it feels so close to the wall at times, especially when you come to the entry of corner. Be brave, be bold, touch the wall if you can, and then swing with a little bit of a twitch from the Alpine. That car not settled and losing time with all this unsettledness. Now fling the car in again. Of course, that reprofiled corner makes it tighter and narrower. And then again, find the breaking point. This final bit is a lot of sharpness we're seeing from Reyes. And it is costing him time dear. He's overusing that mechanic. Is it enough? It's enough for 8th. Still be proud with it.
Certainly can still be proud of that lap time. Here comes Gabor Santos. Can he reclaim pole position? No! Lost time in the final sector, and Gabor cannot fight for pole position. Zorzo just about got his lap time underway. Alejandro's on a lap time, and he's improving in the middle sector. Can he strengthen his grasp on pole? No! He made a mistake in the final part of the lap as well. Van Erven goes to the top at 1 minute 14.1. Spectacular lap time from the Williams. Leeson Labella 4th and 5th. Spectacular qualifying for the Kick Sauber outfit. What about Oscar as he now makes his way to the line? What can he do? Stays 12th. Fastest. Carlos Galindo makes his way through the final corner. Can he find an improvement of the sort to see himself up into that top 10? Across the line he shall go. He does. He's up to 9th fastest. Tamas Kokeni, he's up ever so slightly, but will it be enough to beat Van Erven? No, misses out, but only just. Now we look to the likes of Joel Marquardt and also to Diego Zorzo. Marquardt's aborted. What about Diego Zorzo, your championship leader? He's pushing on through the lap. It's DRS open as he makes his way to the line. I just don't think it'll be enough. Or will it? To the line he goes. No, lost time in that final sector, and that is going to be qualifying all over and done with. And it's Matthias Van Erven who takes pole position in the dying embers. Was stuck in the mid-pack for a majority of that session, and he, when the pressure was on, when he needed it the most, he brought the lap out, and it's a spectacular pole position. His first pole position of the season, as once again our championship leader Diego Zorzo has a tricky qualifying and is once again starting in that midfield.
Yeah, it's not the worst position. In this scenario, being 7th, you'd want to go a bit of an off strategy. Maybe extend the medium tires, do +3, +4 than what they're usually capable of, and then or do that with the hards, and then run to the other compound, fresher, with more life, and go and basically play against the grain. Plus, Diego is in this really nice position where he can play around with strategies. He can try something different amongst this race, see how it turns out, and then go to the next race with a better lap time and push himself onto a normal strategy.
Yeah, certainly can. We'll have to see how the strategies all progress. But here is your results for this qualifying session in Australia. It's Van Erven from Kilkenny, lifeline in the championship, if you can pull this one off. Then it's Alejandro, Leet, Labella, Jontos, Souza, Raminguez, Galindo, Dowds, rounding out your top 10. Then it's Shea, Imtiaz, Marquardt, Oscar, Ranieri, Langrock, Rosen, Wojtek, Steg, Basner, and Modeller's horrid season continues with a last place in qualifying. We'll be heading over to the race now. No lobby restart for once. Nobody picked up a 5-place grid penalty into that one. Of course, we are looking at a hard-medium strategy, surely here, Hyper. And it's going to be difficult for these drivers to keep those tyres within a good window, especially if they're in a train. They'll overheat ever so slightly, and track limits as well with that dirty air could be a huge factor by the time we get through at least the opening few skirmishes.
Yeah, there's going to be a huge problem is track limits. We're going to see a few time penalties come through. Being close, and especially in a technical style of track with a lot of turns, a lot of fast swooping turns, it's going to degrade your tires as well. A lot of the drivers we will see, particularly on the start-finish straights, a lot of the bendy straight between 7 and 9, we're going to see them step out of the slipstream to cool down those tires, cool down the engine. So don't be surprised where we kind of get our hopes up thinking, oh, whatever takes back to happen, but then nothing comes from it. But realistic overtaking quickly. Turn 1, turn 3 are realistic overtaking points. 9 is extremely brave. You have to be Oscar Piastri to go around the outside there. And 11, again, I would consider a very brave opportunity to put it in, even though there is DRS.
There certainly is, and we're now going to get underway. It's Van Erven from Kilkenny on the front row of the grid, and we're underway here in Australia. It's a good start from the Williams, but has the Mercedes got the drive in that second phase of the start? No, he is not. He's going to have to slot behind on the Williams driver. The Mercedes tried it round the outside, but has to sit into second. Zorzo has had a lightning start to things. He's gone from 7th all the way up to 4th, side by side now with Isaac Leet as they battle their way into turn 3. Everybody will surely be on the mediums at the front of this field. Zorzo still going side by side. I think that's Rosen going off in the background as well. Leet trying to hold it to the inside through 5. Taps the wall ever so slightly, but Zorzo already up into that top 4. And if you're Tamas Kilkenny or Aaron Raminguez, that is disaster on this opening lap. Pasquale Ranieri able to get past Lucas Shea there for that 12th place. It's kicking off in the background ever so slightly with Shea and Marquardt now going side by side as we make our way into turn 9. Who's going to come out on top in this one? It's some slight contact there. Somehow both cars facing in the right direction, and Marquardt makes his way through as we now trundle our way down into turn 11. As any move's going to be made here, as we see just in front is Jontos versus Raminguez, and it's Raminguez who sees himself through. What is it? Contact with Leet, pushes the Haas back down, and Jontos is able to get by as the Beller and Dowds now go side by side through that right-hander as there's someone off in the background, and it's John Marquardt. John Marquardt off in the background.
Yeah, that was really far off. That was... I don't know if he missed his braking. He was forced off. There's been bumping and barging left, right, and center. I think there's a little bit of a front wing end plate somewhere at the start of the lap. I want to say it was an RB, probably of Cameron Doards. That's possibly where it came from. It could be around that field, but what a start by Diego. Confident, brave, going around the outside into turn 1, not commonly a place where you want to be because everyone shifts to the inside of turn 2. But he made it work. And then to quickly get Isaac onto turn 3 as well, hats off. That is a championship-worthy start. And now comes the challenge of, Can he slowly make his way up the grid? Is there opportunities for him to make his way up the grid? Or will he have to sit put and wait?
He might just have to sit put for now, but look how close this field really is. Liters all over the back of Diego Sorto, actually, as you can see, in the front as well. Kokeni just tucking out that slipstream of Matthias Van Erven. The tyre temps, the engine temps, sorry, are so crucial around a circuit like this because it's so power dependent. There's side by side between Dowds and Raminguez, and Dowds gets that move done. A spectacular move from the V-Carb into turn 11, and he is now up into 7th place, having one of the better races so far this season. Been a very torrid time for Cameron Dowds, but he's now going to be pushing forward, of course, recently joining FVR from Veloce Academy. And we're going to have a look at our biggest gainers and biggest losers. Our biggest gainer so far is Ryan Modler up 5. Our biggest loser is Lucas Shea down 6. Steg is the only driver to have come into the pit lane for, I think, repairs, as everybody is stuck in this DRS train now. But it just shows how difficult it is to break away with 4 DRS zones, Hyper, because everybody is about 2 tenths apart from one another.
Yeah, they're almost pushing each other, and if this was NASCAR, we would be seeing a little bit of bump drafting, but with how delicate these front wings are, well, delicate loosely, people can jump up and down on the wing, but when it touches the rear wheel that's spinning at God knows how many miles an hour, yeah, it's not worth shoving your opponent a little bit more just to get that little bit of overdrive. But going into turn 11, the closest person here is Isaac, and every time you look at him step out, you always think there's a possibility here. There may be a chance for someone to send it like Cameron did not too long ago. I think it was on last lap he sent it down the inside of Aaron. There's those chances, but again, it's all about strategy. It's all about conserving your ERS, conserving tire life, and you've got to think of the big picture and the long game here. So be prepared, ladies and gentlemen, as things will start to calm down.
Yeah, it certainly will. Everybody will want to get into that rhythm and make sure they don't end up picking up any track limit penalties by pushing a little bit too aggressively. But I do also want to save that tyre for the latter end of the stint. You saw Labella taking a really aggressive line out of the slipstream just to make sure he keeps those temps on the engine in range, because you lose so much power if you start to overheat in that engine. So it's so crucial, potentially at a later stage of the stint or even the last few laps of the race, to climb your way up through the field to just keep your engine nice and cool. Van Erven at the front of the field has done really nicely so far. He's 7 temps clear of Tamas Kokeni. Kokeni not really being able to get close enough at the moment, so he's really starting to struggle at the moment. It's the Mercedes coming under pressure from Alejandro behind. So for Matthias, this is exactly what he would have wanted. Even though Kokeni's in DRS, he's keeping him at arm's bay, and the Mercedes is slowly backing himself up into the V-Carb.
Yeah, slowly doing what, going backwards, but at the same time, how much is Van Arnhem just waiting? We've seen it many times in sim racing. The person at front will just control the pace, run at his own momentum, and then at any moment pounce and just go that extra second quicker than everyone else. And it's a bit annoying as a spectator, because then you've got this whole slow game that's happening. It's not entertaining, and then next thing you know, it's like, well, there's the true pace that we should be expecting. But hey, I don't make the rules here, as Jensen Rosen calls it quits after 5 laps.
So unfortunate for Jensen. Did say before the race he was having some wheel issues, and unfortunately they have come to bite him, and he is our first casualty out of this one. A very disappointing season so far from the Red Bull man, looking to improve in this latter half as we now make our way up into turns 9 and 10 for the 5th time in this Grand Prix, and it doesn't seem anybody close enough to make an overtake just yet. This is where we are going to start to get into that small lull stage of the race where not many drivers go for those overtakes. It's mainly the drivers down further throughout the field just as they want to try and make their way up into the points. Track position vital by the time you come into pit lane. Of course, 3 drivers on the hards. That's Langrock, Modler and Imtiaz, and everybody else on those medium compounded tyres. So I would expect here, Hyper, for Imtiaz, Langrock and Modler to start making their way up through the order probably within the next couple of laps, as those mediums start to die off and those hards start to come into their prime age.
That's what you hope to see, but the number of times I've been casting F1 esports, it never seems to come through, because somehow even when you get to pit stop phase, the mediums just hold on enough to stay alive. And that is a lunge down the inside, a little bump and push. Why don't we get our elbows out as the Ferrari is trying to get past the Haas car? That's Dennis and Ryan having a little bit of a tussle and elbows out moment. Nothing's going to come through for it. A little piece of action in the mid phase. That's a little different. With a quick note, Tabas, 7/10 behind as he does eventually come onto the straight and closes that gap down. But critically, he needs to be careful because that was getting to 8/10 and nearly broke that second mark.
Yeah, we will need to be careful as Paisley picks up our first penalty of the race. It's 3 seconds for track limits. Down at 9 and 10. He's coming under a little bit of pressure from Lucas Shea, but just not close enough in the Mercedes to make his way through. But a poor start from Shea, of course, being in 17th. We'll drop down all those positions off the start, so we're looking to make amends in this one. But of course, with 4 DRS zones, Van Erven's not really able to break away as much as you would, if around any other circuit you would hope to, because of course you go through down one straight, you go through 2-3 corners, and then you're instantly into another DRS straight, and it's just a constant cycle. Ever since then, your best chance of breaking away really is through that first sector, through turns 4, 5, 6. And still, just Kokeni not being able to be wiggled off the back of that Williams car so far. So for Alejandro, we've not mentioned him much in this race, but he had a very good start on his debut. He's stayed in 3rd place, and is actually still looking to apply some pressure onto the Hungarian in front.
Lap 12 to 15, I feel we're going to start to see some of those medium runners come in. And that's where the chaos will start to ensue. A few laps before that as well, we'll see a lot of the drivers pick up that pace, really start to fight a bit more. And we see a couple of position changes off track. I don't really count pit lane as on track overtaking. It is an off track overtaking scenario. But right now, who's managing the best? Well, it's going to be our leader. He's clearly got the clean air. He knows that he has to bide his time. And then come the lap 10 mark, which is about 2 laps to go until we get there, he will put a faster pace down. He will pick it up. We will see potentially an attempt to try and break that second mark away from Tomas. And then Alexandro has got to be wary that if Tomas does not pick up the pace in the correct way, he's got to make a move and commit by using a lot of his battery. So how well has his top 3 managed? But vice versa, everyone down the field as well. How well are they managing their tyres, knowing that we're getting to this phase where we should be pouncing and attacking?
Yeah, we are slowly getting to that point. Again, it's just so difficult to as well, with everybody having DRS around you to go for those moves. As actually Kokeni's gone for it here. Or Van Erven maybe caught the Williams driver by surprise. And the Hungarian now takes this race lead. Is he looking for a potential early pit stop into this race? I was mainly looking around about the lap 10 to 12 window for a medium compound. And then you can go straight onto the hards from there. But we'll now see what Kokeni elects to do. Is he coming into pit lane this time around? No, he is not. Nobody following him either. Potentially, he's just done that to relieve the pressure ever so slightly from Alejandro behind. Put another car in between himself and championship rival Diego Zorzo. But that from Kokeni was a move I don't think either of us were expecting. Hyper, and he's now going to try break away.
Now, I didn't even realize it'd gone through until I looked back at the timing board, and now we're seeing the Williams under a bit of pressure from the RB, because this is going to be a little bit of an incentive that Alejandro will look at this and go, hey, well, if the Williams is overtakeable here, we could take advantage. And look how close he is. He's right on the rear end. Remember, only a little dab of the brakes needed into turn 6, and then you're back on the power. He's almost shoving the Williams up through the straight, so we might be able to see another overtake come into play here. ERS is severely being deployed as he closes. Is it close enough to do it into turn 9? No. Has to stay close. Good exit here and power it down. Again, deploy that ERS. We might see it into 11, but no. I didn't see much deployment on the exit of 10, and he will sit put for now. Nearly happened. Nearly got another round of excitement.
Yeah, we nearly did indeed, but Van Erven potentially now struggling on those tyres, maybe pushed a little bit too aggressively as Alejandro is coming into pit lane. He's followed in by Diego Zorzo. We know Zorzo is very opportunistic when it comes to strategy, and here's another shot in the dark. He's going to try and get this undercut on the two race leaders as he now switches onto the hard compounded tyres. This will take him to the end of this race, and he's going to come out just behind Alejandro, of course. But this has now broken that gap between Kokeni, Van Erven, and the pack behind. As there's a yellow flag in the first sector, and I think that is for Lucas Baesner. It is.
Yeah, front end plate gone. Puncture! That's got to be a puncture, is it? No, it's not. Oh, the way you slided got it excited. But when we dropped onto Tomas, he did not have any grip. I think a lot of drivers now, those mediums are wearing off a lot earlier than I predicted, and the wear on this track is higher than we expected. So I am not going to be surprised if we do see the Mercedes and the Williams react to the initial pit stops that have come through. So keep an eye out for the front runners to make their pit stops.
Yeah, certainly keep an eye on that for that now, especially to react to Alejandro and Diego Zorzo. Of course, that was so crucial. They got past Lucas Baesner there, because if they got held up through 9 and 10, that could have been their chance of an undercut gone. Kokeni into pit lane. Van Erven stays out one more. He stays out for another lap alongside Shontos and Dowds. They think they can get one more out of this, and potentially now Dowds might go for the move on Shontos, or they're just going to play it safe. But the crucial question is, where does Kokeni come out in relation to Alejandro and also Diego Zorzo too? Down the straight they go. Kokeni's going to be on the pit lane exit. We're going to see this from the side of Alejandro, and it's Kokeni who's just going to stay in front, but he gets a slow run through that first corner. Alejandro now to the outside line. This could be a perfectly executed undercut, and it is perfectly executed. Here comes Diego Zorzo to the inside line too. Kokeni on cold tyres. He's going to have to try and warm them up as this squabble continues. To the inside, says the Hungarian, forces his rival wide, and Diego Zorzo has to sit behind a bit more, but a good run out of here could see himself shoot straight back up past the Mercedes man.
Yeah, heat cycle already put into that McLaren, and Diego knows that he has to take advantage as early as he can, but being shoved off has lost all of his momentum, and now he has to look ahead, seeing that Mercedes that he was attempting to get ahead just fade into the distance. But we look ahead at the Williams, and this is going for offset. Even though he is risking the race lead here, he understands that he's going to have fresher tires than a few more drivers, as Cameron is staying out for another lap. Gabor also staying out for another lap, and I've seen Gabor on 2 occasions rear end kick out onto turn 14 twice, and I just saw it again into turn 1. This is a very unsettled Alpine that needs to be careful.
Oh, it certainly is, and Van Erven's come out right in between Diego Zorzo and Tamas Kokeni there, and nearly into the back of the Williams was the McLaren, and he's got the move done up into turn 3 as there comes Isaac Leet looking to the inside line. Can he pull this one off? Oh, forced onto the grass. A big snap of oversteer, and that's now allowed Aaron Raminguez through. Another car forced wide through turn 4. And this time around it has resulted in a position loss for the car behind. But so far for championship leader Zorzo, he's not really showing too much pace on those hard compounded tyres, potentially struggling with tyre warm-up or just overall balance. And he's actually now out of DRS range from Tamas Kokeni. Did get the burst, luckily, because he was within it just as they got through the detection point. But Kokeni goes a little bit wide out of turn 10, and that might have just been the lifeline Zorzo needed to keep himself in the hunt.
It's beautiful. Just the biggest RNG you can see is having that advantage. We are going to see Gabor and Cameron finally come in, and with such fresh sets of hards and being 2-3 laps fresher, we've got to keep an eye out on these two, because yes, they won't be ahead of the leading pack, but they 100% will have the pace to overtake and catch up quickly.
Yeah, they certainly will, as Dowds and Shontos now come back out onto the road just behind Carlos Galindo. And we're now going to see how these guys now do in this hunt for the cars in front. Zorzo is now really within Kokeni's DRS range. I think he just had a little blip with, of course, Van Erven coming out onto the road, potentially just ruffled his feathers ever so slightly, and he's now found his form once again. Of course, the Spaniard, if things go his way in the latter stages, can take the championship this evening. But at the moment, it is not looking likely at all. So for Kokeni, he's going for that move on Alejandro's to the outside line. What a move that could be from the Mercedes man, and he's got it done. Expertly done from the Hungarian as he moves himself up into the net race lead. And now Zorzo is looking to follow him through. Alejandro on the outside, Zorzo on the inside. The Spaniard, will he see thank you very much? Yes, he will. And the McLaren moves himself up into second. It's two of the championship protagonists now 1-on-2 in this train.
This could be interesting. Prime position from 7th to net 2nd right now. What a drive. As all that's left ahead of this leading pack is the hard runners, who will extend this out to probably a lap 16 before we really see them come in. And they will do a sprint race onto the medium tires. But Diego's been patient. He's waited for the opportunities to come about, allow his opponents to make those mistakes, and when they do, capitalized on it quickly and swiftly. He hasn't been too aggressive. He's only one occasion where he's had a wheel-to-wheel contact, but I would deem that as fair racing from my stewarding eyes. This is clean, and this is a championship-worthy drive. One contender ahead of him on a track with 4 DRS zones. I don't see the Mercedes staying ahead at the end of this race at this current rate.
Yes, here comes Alejandro under all sorts of pressure from Matthias Van Erven to the outside line, goes to Williams. Not able to get the move done, but might go for the switcheroo now heading into turn 11. He's actually forcing Alejandro for a move onto Diego Zorzo. Wide goes the V-car through turn 12, but just no room being made there at the end for the Williams to slot himself through. Is something happened to Gabor Shontos here? Something has happened to Gabor Shontos. He's off the road, coming into pit lane, potentially got some damage off some contact. And for the Alpine, that's him done. Another car out. And for Gabor Shontos, that is a big shot. Was fighting for pole position in qualifying, didn't go his way there, and potentially had a shot at this race victory as Cameron Dowes is all over the back of Galindo as we now make our way into turn 3. A beautiful send to the inside line. I think Alejandro and Van Erven are still going side by side further up, and Van Erven's able to make his way through up into 6th place. It's all kicking off here on lap 15 of 29. We're reaching that halfway stage, and Van Erven is just going to be within DRS range of Diego Zorzo to hold on to position.
Van Erven, 2 lap fresher tyres than Diego. Theoretically and realistically, this Williams should make easy work of the McLaren, but it's all about timing. Picking your moment, not taking too many risks. He knows that he could bide his time, count down the clock. He knows that at this rate, if he tyre manages in the right way, he will make the overtake quick and easy. Meanwhile, Diego hasn't really been making much inroads to the front runners. That's Alexandro. He's got into the wall.
Oh, wow. Alejandro off into the wall. Is that a full course safety car or is that a virtual safety car? It's a full course.
Full course. There's a yellow. There's a yellow dot.
Yellow dot into the road. Zorzo into pit lane. These guys are coming into the mediums. But also, Hyper, Imtiaz, Modler, Lanrock, they were not caught by the safety car. They're going to take the effective race lead, surely.
They've got to. They've got to. This is a beautiful scenario for them. They've got themselves an 11-second gap towards Cameron. It's about under safety car, 14 seconds under net race pace. This is huge. Reyes will most likely take net lead of this race.
Yep, he certainly will. And just seeing in the chat, Alejandro's wheel disconnected. That's what caused that incident. And it was going so well. It was his debut race. He was fighting for a potential race victory. And on lap 15 of 29, it unfortunately came to an end. It all unravelled as we now see Imtiaz and Modeler Lanrock. They're going to come into the pit lane this time around. Unless Dowd might be able to jump them ever so slightly, actually. We'll have to just wait and see. But for Alejandro, that is just heartbreak if you're in his shoes. Just absolute heartbreak because you're driving such a good race your first race of the season, and it all just goes through no fault of your own. But now we have a little race in a sense of this pit lane window. Is Imtiaz going to come out in front of Dowds, or is Dowds going to come out in front as they now make their way down that main straight? Where is Cameron Dowds right now? He's making his way to the line, and he's going to be just behind Ray's Imtiaz. So that safety car has worked perfectly to the hands of the Alpine, and the closest medium runner has to go through another 2 hard runners. So for Ray's Imtiaz, this could be the race win in the bag.
Cameron and Valentino, both on hards, were caught out. They could have pitted. They could have gone and... I think they had enough time to quickly dive into the pits, but it just timed incorrectly. And they decided to stay out with 4-lap-old hards. They're going to get picked off so quickly. Within a matter of seconds, they'll get picked off. So we'll have to keep an eye and see what happens as the leaderboard is going a little nuts and crazy. What is Pascal doing? He's not in the pits. He's out on track.
Oh. Well, no, now it said he's out on the circuit. So for Ranieri, just a little bit of a delayed message there. And unfortunately for even the likes of Sorzo and Kokeni here, Kokeni's gone on to another set of the hards. Sorzo's gone on to the mediums. So that could be another big swing in the championship fight. Of course, Kokeni is one of the closest competitors. He's 3rd place in the standings alongside Scott Holmes, who hasn't been able to make it tonight. But it's Raminguez 2nd in the standings. He's well behind Diego Zorzo. So it may not be championship win tonight for Diego Zorzo here, Hyper, but it certainly could be the good old setup heading into next week's race.
It very much could. We are going to take one more lap of the safety car, but yeah, 100%. This is a setup. The chances, we were talking a little bit before we got onto stream, that Diego's chances of winning the championship here was slim. We were asking for a lot of scenarios, a lot of people to be out of position for Diego to completely take the championship. So yes, today is definitely a setup, and with 2-lap-old mediums, he is in a great position. He can bag himself a lot of good points, but here's the problem. Tomas, Dennis, Ryan, Valentino, and Cameron all lay in his way before Reyes, who is leading this race. And the only 2 I see that's going to be easy picking is Cameron and Valentino in 2nd and 3rd because of 5-lap-old hards. But everyone else, even a 2-lap-old hard, is still half decent against a 1-lap-old medium. There is still decent pace that you could produce from it.
There certainly is decent pace, and it's going to be all about how this restart now goes. We'll have 10 laps remaining in this Grand Prix, and it'll be Imtiaz to lead us away from Dowds then the Bella. This is going to be very, very interesting as the safety car is now in at the end of this lap. We'll see what Imtiaz can do. Hyper, I'm going to ask you this just before we get back underway. Do you think the Alpine can do it?
I believe. I'm a true believer in this scenario. I think he can.
So, for Ray's Imtiaz, this could be his best shot at a race victory all season, and Zorzo's perfect straight mileage has been beaten twice in a row. So we'll see now as he makes his way through the final couple of corners.
Oh, this is risky to try and launch.
He's leaving it so late, but he's gone for that outside line. He's still not gone. He's got to leave this oh so late. Surely it's got to be when he comes out of this final corner here. Hugs it to the inside line. He's
waiting.
He's really waiting here. This is the longest I've seen anybody who waits here in Australia. Look at it in the background. It's 3 wide heading down the straight under a safety car restart. And Imtiaz has got away, and he's just been able to keep that race lead over Cameron Dowds through that first corner. Sorso went to the inside of Kokeni. He's been able to get that move done, and Kokeni's been bogged down, and he's down into 9th place. Here comes Sorso now to the outside of Dennis Langrock. This is crucial. These are 2 medium runners fighting for position, and Sorso hugging that inside line. He's is trying to get by. Langrock goes off, and Sorzo makes his way up into that top 5. The race is well and truly on for position now, as Ranieri might be going for a move here on Wojtek Szczeg, not going to be close enough. But for Tamas Kokeni, disastrous restart for him. He's gone from 6th all the way down to 9th.
Zorzo needs to be careful. That was really aggressive into turn 4. Bashed his will into the side pod of his opponent, of Dennis Langrock. I think stewards may want to get involved, and a penalty could be on the tables here, so he has to be careful. We see a McLaren dive right down the inside from Carlos. I thought it was about to unfold, but that didn't come to matter. And I don't blame Diego in this situation. He knows he's got to pounce. He knows he's got to attack. That's another lunge from a Haas I just saw. That's Aaron trying to make an overtake onto the Mercedes ahead of him. DRS finally enabled, and it's been chaotic of a start.
This has been such a chaotic restart to this race, as Ranieri picks up a free time penalty, himself second victim of the time penalties. Of course, our last one, was Lucas Basner, who's unfortunately out of this race, as Wojtek Szczeg goes to the inside there of Lucas Shea. There, wheel banging all the way through turn 3 and 4, but he's been able to make his way through. And Ranieri now looking to the outside through 5. Surely not going to hold it there. He is, but just cannot see himself through. Is Dowds going to go for an Imtiaz? Is Labella potentially going to try and hold position for now to give Dowds the best opportunity to get past Imtiaz and back him up into the kick Sauber, as we make our way now into turns 9 and 10. No move being made thus far from the V-Carb. And I just don't think he will down the remainder of this straight. But the driver looking very racy indeed is going to be of Carlos Galindo. He looks to the inside of Langrock, but once again, just not close enough to get the car all the way alongside and pull off that move.
If you're a mother, you're looking between your fingers because that move was a little too close to comfort, and I'm surprised Carlos was able to keep his front wing through it all. But the biggest kind of what the hell moment is Ryan not really making inroads against his compatriots. His driver's ahead on 8 lap-old hards. You're on 4 lap-on mediums. You should be making it easy, but he hasn't. The defense from Valentino has been phenomenal, and it has to be a push-shove overtake for any chance for Ryan to get through. I think he was listening and eventually was like, no, sir, I can make that overtake happen.
Yeah, he certainly could, as we now see Modler. The next one will be, of course, Cameron Dowds. And for Diego Zorzo, he's now going to be attacking Valentino Labella as we make our way into turns 9 and 10. We're on lap 21 of 29. We really are getting into the dying phases of this race. And for Diego Zorzo, I think at the moment, what he is doing, if he is able to take this race victory, I don't think it'll be enough for the championship just yet, but it certainly could put him into a perfect position going into next week's race to take the title. But he will love to at least get on the podium for now. You can see just in front of these guys, Modler looking for it on Doughtus. There's Zorzo to the inside, into the penultimate corner, run out of 12, inside to 13. Spectacular stuff from the Spaniard as he makes his way up to 4th. This is showing true champion qualities at the moment, as Langrock now looks to the outside of Valentino Labella. Can he get by? There's contact between the pair. The Haas gets forced off the road. Here comes Galindo. Can he make it through Carlos Galindo? Van Erven also looking to get into play as we make it into turn 4. It's to the inside from the McLaren on the kick Sauber. Williams to the inside of the Haas. There's more contact between these cars as we make our way through 4. This is giving that top for a brilliant breathing space as Galindo makes it through. Contacted into the wall goes Labella, and that is also, I think, Van Erven getting involved, picking up some damage, and Labella might have just been sent down throughout the field. He's behind Kokeni, and Van Erven and Langrock battle even more with the Williams driver having end plate damage.
Yeah, it's going to give him a little bit of extra straight line speed, but when it comes to the corner, you have to be brave. You want to stick it around the outside. Williams is committing around. Oh, Dennis is going into the wall, and that is unfortunate to see. That is a penalty on the board. 100% the Williams. There was no way you could make that move stick, but he tried anyway, and Dennis taken out of this fight.
Yeah, that's so unfortunate for Dennis Langrock, as we see now Isaac Lee and Oscar battling side by side as they head through the final couple of corners. Raminguez has picked up a 3-second time penalty in all of this. That's also extremely crucial in this race. It's also still just hanging on to the back of Ryan. The Cameron Dowd is still in this one. Oh, it's all going to be about this top 5 battle. Galindo, Zorzo, Modler, Dowds and Imtiaz all squabbling for a race victory, as Ranieri was able to make his way past Labella as well, who stayed out with that front wing damage, potentially hoping for a late safety car to come into play. As we, of course, now see, look at Ray's Imtiaz. He's 6 attempts clear of Cameron Dowd. He's got him at arm's reach. But, of course, we're still nowhere near that final lap, and Dowds will have a lot of battery in reserve.
Cameron's doing a brilliant job at maintaining a solid pace to stay ahead, and no surprise, Tomas is able to get past the broken front wing of a Williams, and he will now have one hell of a job to get past. But yeah, Cameron doing a fantastic job. He's maintaining such good pace that, as I said from earlier, I was expecting Ryan to make these overtakes look easy. But it isn't. He's positioning his car well. He's just focusing on his race. He's making sure he's nailing the exits of every single corner, particularly at the critical straights and overtaking opportunities. So hats off to Cameron. He just needs to maintain this for the last few laps.
He certainly does indeed, and he could be in chance of a race victory. Langrock's retired. Something's happened to Aaron Raminguez. He's dropping down throughout the field, and he's now down to 12th. I don't know if he's made contact into that first corner. Looking to the outside now of Wojtek Steg. Not able to get the move done. But for Raminguez, this could be really championship deciding stuff in this race. Kokeni in 6th, Zorzo in 4th, and Zorzo will just keep extending that championship lead at the moment. But surely he wants to get that little bit further up. He wants that race victory. It's within reach. You cannot count him out of it, as actually Kokeni has called up to the back of Galindo. So we now have a 6-car fight for the race lead, as Van Erven now drops behind Isaac Lee. Could he make it a 7-car fight if he's able to catch up to the cars in front?
That means that Rias is controlling the pace at the front. He is very much saving his tires and waiting for those last few laps to pounce. That is what's happening here, and because he slowed down at such a rate, Cameron is able to keep up in a good manner, and Ryan is unable to make many moves because if he pushes too much, he uses up a lot of tire life, and he knows he'll go against the grain. So this is important to see, because if, as I said, Tomas can catch up that easily within a few laps, Rias is controlling the entire pack, is under his spell.
Yes, they certainly are. So for Ray's Imtiaz, he's got 4 more tours of this circuit. No, 5 more tours, sorry, to contend with. It'll be 4 when we cross the line. And for Cameron Dowds, he's just all about trying to keep within this range, but these tyres better not fall off. But the thing is as well, the likes of Imtiaz, Modler, Zorzo and Galindo here is actually, is Dowd's going to go for it now? He is. He's looking to the outside line into turn 9, and he couldn't get the move done. There's contact. Dowd sent it to a spin. He's got into the wall, and unfortunately for the Scotsman, his charge for that race victory has come to an end, and that's now put Modler onto the back of Imtiaz. I was just about to mention to you, Hyper, about how the mediums die off around about lap 9, where the hards can go on for so much longer. And for Cameron Dowd, it's all come crashing down as he finds himself in the wall, but luckily without any damage.
Thankfully with no damage. There's going to be some visual cosmetic, which will have some small impact, but something that they can counter and deal with. But it was too bold. It was too advantageous and too risky. Everything was not lining up well, but yeah, now we're getting to the point where these tires are starting to die off. We are seeing Tomas in 5th really get up the rear end of Carlos in 4th, who are running on those medium tires. So keep an eye out. See if that pace is still able to maintain. Are we going to see some lunges? Are we going to see maybe another attempt into turn 9? The risky move, which has not paid off for the last 2 drivers who have attempted it. It's much safer to go into turn 11, but thankfully, Mercedes, I think he caught wind and saw what happened last time, decided, you know what, let's play it safe and let's go into turn 11. Why don't we make a lunge down into 11, round the outside, not able to make a move just yet, has to play it safe for now.
Yeah, just isn't able to get that move done is Kenny. As we see in the background, Steg versus Oscar. And Steg is able to make his way through. When we cross the line, it's 3 laps to go in this Grand Prix. As actually Oscar falls even further back down the field. He's just been overtaken by Rani Ailey, who went to the inside into 12. Van Erven's really holding up this strain as Cameron Dowds is slowly closing up to the back of Kenny. As these drivers, of course, hold each other up as they have to brake earlier and earlier and earlier. Marquardt able to get past Van Erven. Here comes Kenny to the inside of Galindo. Zorzo would have wanted his teammate to stay in front. And this is now a crucial moment in the championship. We have Zorzo versus Kenny. In the background, Marquardt versus Van Erven rages on. But we have the Mercedes versus the McLaren. And just like as we said, those hards do last longer. And has Kenny timed this to absolute perfection?
It's definitely on a charge. Podium is 100% on the table. He won't be able to get it into turn 11, I don't think, unless he gets one hell of a run out of 10. No, unrealistic to go into turn 11. 13's too much of a risk because he's not at the rear end of Diego right now. So right now, he has to play safe. Wait for turn 1 or turn 3 is his next opportunity, but it does burn another lap that he has as a chance to win this race. Realistically, a podium's good enough for the Mercedes driver right now.
It certainly is a realistic opportunity. 2 laps to go now as we start this tour of the circuit. It's still Imtiaz leading from Modler, Zorzo, and now Tamas Kenny. Labella's left the session. He's, of course, retired from the race a little bit longer ago. And of course, actually, Dowds and Leeds have caught up to this train, so don't rule them out of a potential top 5 finish either, even making their way up onto the podium. We don't know what's going to happen in these final few laps. Zorzo surely will play it safe just to score some crucial points. But for Kenny, he can take some away from his championship rival and just keep delaying that crowning process. So DRS will be open now as we make our way down that back straight. We're on lap 28 of 29, and it's still Imtiaz leading the way.
He's been doing so well. It's so well controlling the pack. And if there's any life, he will now dump it. He will put anything and everything into that Alpine to pull a gap, to show that he's still got the pace. But right now, Ryan Mulder is getting ever so close. He potentially could be in the firing range for an overtake. 4 tenths behind, a little too far back. But I tell you what, Diego's in a really good position himself. Both drivers will have DRS, so not a move into turn 1, but turn 3 is where they're going to look. A good exit off to turn 2. Are they close enough here? 2 tenths amongst each other. How wide that Ferrari is. Pushing everything in those tyres. Unable to make the move. Locks up down the inside, but has not made any contact. He's ghosted himself, though, temporarily. Thankfully, not enough that Diego could shift his way through. And the Mercedes watching this all unfold. Not a piece of room that he could overtake on.
No, there is certainly not. And now we start this final overtaking opportunity. Modler, Zorzo, and Imtiaz all going to be scrapping this one out. Imtiaz, I think, might have just streaked far enough clear to hold on. But is Zorzo looking for the move? No, he is not. Modler is just being able to hang on to position. But, of course, Zorzo just needs to hang on in front of Kenny, who's now all over the back of him. As we make our way down into turn 11, it seems like this is Imtiaz's to lose through the final couple of corners. Kenny couldn't get it done there. He's got one last chance into the penultimate corner. He'll have to do a send of all sends if he wants to pull that one off, but no, will fall just shy. But at the front of the field, he capitalised on that safety car, and he's managed this since. It's been perfection from the Alpine. It's Imtiaz who makes a 3rd different winner of the season. A spectacular drive from the back of the field to a race victory. Raise Imtiaz, take a bow. What a drive that was here in PC Tier 2. Then Ryan Modler in 2nd. A spectacular drive from him, and finally gets that campaign underway after such a torrid time to this season. He started last, finished 2nd. And for Diego Zorzo, some more crucial points in the championship hunt. And for him there, that certainly is going to be absolutely crucial by the time we reach next week, where we could have that first attempt. Well, 2nd attempt really, but first realistic attempt at a crowning moment.
beautiful racing. It came down to the final moments, and yeah, Riaz just nailing everything. He wasn't over pushing, he wasn't over aggressing. He knew he just had to focus on the next turn that was coming up, and that's all he was looking at, which then led to a smooth and fluid drive. A little bit of a hiccup on the exit of turn 11 on the final lap. I did spot that, but I'll let it slide. I'll let it slide because he had done so well prior to that. Huge work. And just to make it even better, from 12th, he finds himself a win. Modeler from 20th and dead last, he finds himself second place. That safety car was incredible.
It certainly was. That really did add all the drama to that race. And hopefully we're going to hear from some of these drivers. And we do have Diego Zorzo in the waiting room. So shall we kick things off with the interviews here, Hyper?
I think we should. 100% we should. Let's bring Diego Zorza into the call. It was tough. It was challenging. P7, and you made your way up. That was not an easy drive. Tell me, how do you feel about all that?
Well, good, because it was a good drive for me, but you know, the safety car was just in the worst possible moment. I was P2, and suddenly I was back to P7, where I started, or P8, I don't know. So I had to make my way through, and yeah, just P3 was the most I could do. Probably will be P2 after Pens, but we'll see.
Yeah, and talking of I want to talk a bit about the championship. I was mentioning to Max quite early on is that this was your first chance to close the championship. Did you view this race as an opportunity to close the championship, or more so to try something different, try something new, see how you feel on the next few races, and maybe take it on a later date? What was your mindset going into this race?
Well, I didn't know I could take it this race. Luke told me like just before we started, so I was like, okay, well, let's try and wrap it up. But you know, it didn't depend on me. I had to win, and then I think the 6 people below me had to DNF, so that was just too unlikely. And it was looking good for the win, but yeah, safety car came out. I mean, I'm not disappointed on the result. It's still a good chunk of points, and we'll try to wrap it up as soon as possible.
Yeah, you certainly will try to wrap it up as soon as you possibly can. But of course, I think today wasn't the realistic chance to wrap it up. I think you can agree with me there also. But next week, I think at the moment, heading into the race, you do actually have the gap. So if you finish ahead of the drivers around you, like Raminguez or even Kokeni, heading out of next week, you could be crowned the champion. Is it just see what you can do? It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, yeah, I'll try. I mean, I don't know the maths at the moment. I know I had 76 points of lead, but I don't know after this, so we'll see. I mean, I don't want to rush. I'm not really thinking about it. I just want to race and that's it. But the sooner the better, I guess.
Yeah, definitely the sooner the better. Just another one about that safety car. Just of course, you and Kokeni were fighting for that P1 and P2. Was that safety car just a bit frustrating? If it came out, did you want it a few laps later so the hard runners had already boxed?
Yeah, for sure. If it had happened 3 laps later or 4, then would have been even better for me. But not that lap, because I think there were 3 or 4, or actually 5 people that didn't box, and yeah, I just lost too many places. I had to overtake 2 in the restart, and then another one died, and I think that's it. So, well, it was a good race in terms of performance.
Yeah, it was definitely a solid drive from yourself. Thank you, Diego, for hopping into the call, and good luck for the next race.
Thank you guys, bye bye.
Well, that was It was definitely a drive from Diego, but I tell you what, I think we need to get the race winner in here, don't you think, Max?
Yeah, we need to get Rays into this after what was a class race from you. Rays, just talk us through that one. Congratulations on the race victory. A bit of luck from the safety car, but you make your own luck in motorsport, so it worked out perfectly for you.
Yeah. I mean, first off, I always ask the commentators, how was that race? Was it entertaining for you guys?
Very.
I mean,
yes.
I know Australia isn't always the most entertaining, but you know, with the whole game, you know, not being able to make overtakes in the DRS train, all that. So we tried to make it as entertaining as we can for you guys and the viewers at home. But today, yeah, you're right. I mean, a bit of luck on the strap, but at the end of the day, there's countless times you get unlucky with safety cars. If one goes your way, you know what, we'll take it. So that's not too bad. But we know that the pace of the second train was really, really bad. These guys were running really slow on the first stint to just preserve tires. It's not because they are slow, it's just to preserve those tires. So with that in mind, you know that those mediums at the end are going to light on fire and pretty much just help you make those overtakes. And my main goal was just to get into the points. If I'm P11 and I do if I do their strategy, I'm not going to be able to get into the points. I'm just going to be stuck, right? So I had to do something different. I knew my hard tires were pretty good because I'd been saving them. So yeah, in the end, it was a pretty good race, and I'm glad you guys enjoyed.
Yeah, it definitely was an entertaining race for sure. Of course, safety car is the biggest factor. We do see a lot of drivers after safety car periods or after the pit stops, they tend to slow down their pace, control the pack, and then almost pounce on the final lap. Were you tire managing from the safety car onwards, or was it flat out, all out mentality just to try and keep that little gap that you had?
It was just, to be honest, it was full on saving, because even just running 10 to 12 laps on mediums is very, very difficult if you've got a guy behind you on hards. I mean, I didn't know what his tire wear was. Maybe he was saving as well. So at the end, his hard tires are going to be great. I'm talking about Cameron Dowds. Obviously, unfortunate with the incident, he shouldn't really put his car in that sort of gap. There was never going to be that sort of, you know, you can't go too wide into there and expect to come out okay. So yeah, I mean, unlucky for him. He went for the gap. I see why. You know, it's you kind of get desperate on this game because you just physically can't make the overtake. So I think he was 5-6 tenths behind on the straight. So I just turned my battery into medium. I didn't think he would go for it, and that desperation kicks in. And sometimes you go for moves that shouldn't really happen. And unfortunate for Cameron. We'll obviously see what the stewards decide. I don't think I've done anything wrong, but at the end of the day, we'll see what happens after.
Yeah, we certainly will see what happens after the stewards' investigations. But anyway, heading over to next week, the final race of not F1 25, but 2025, over from Australia to Austria. First of all, Rays, will you be racing? And second of all, how are you feeling around there? You confident around Austria?
Austria, I'm definitely confident at. It's a brilliant track. I love it. I love it to bits. It's one of those ones where you can actually overtake. So you guys will definitely be more entertained than you guys had today. There'll be more entertainment there. Austria always provides pretty good racing. Strategy involved. If there's a bit of rain as well, you never know. Today it looked like it was going to rain, but the weather kind of teased us a little bit. But it was just a bit of overcast weather. Hopefully we get some rain at Austria. However, I won't be racing. I will be on holiday. So yeah. Just want to say though, once again, thank you guys for commentating. I hope it was a great race, and I appreciate you guys commentating. Big fans of both of you. So thank you guys for entertaining our viewers, and yeah, it was a great race.
Yeah, of course. Well, congratulations on your race victory, Rays, and we shall see you in the new year. Enjoy your Christmas break, and yeah, we'll see you back for Bahrain.
Thank you very much. Merry Christmas to you, and have a happy New Year.
You too.
Merry Christmas. That leaves one more person. It is Ryan Modler, who is left to interview. We've got all three. This is very lucky for us to have all three drivers here to sit down and chat. Ryan, I don't want to say it was a gifted second. It was definitely a well-fought second. That must have felt good, but also just slightly annoying to be so close of taking race victory.
No, just say gifted. That's fine. I mean, it was gifted in the end. So yeah, but it feels rewarding after a very tough season compared to last season, where I think I finished 5 times on the podium or something like that. So feels good to be back. But yeah, I can't be that happy because, like you said, it's a little lucky, a little gifted. I obviously take it. Strategy was fine. I think it was the right one to go from hard to medium.
Yeah,
And it would have been a decent race with some points, but yeah, the safety car came to a pretty decent moment.
This is a very, very quiet race for you. Just you almost blended into the crowd. Didn't do too much. A couple of overtaking opportunities. Did you feel once you'd got onto those mediums after that safety car, did you feel you had that pace, or was those hard tires in front of you just proving to be a little too powerful? But taking account there was a four lap difference between your mediums and their old hards. Did you find it difficult to overtake, or was it just great? Or was it just the tire not kicking into gear enough?
Well, the medium tire only has like 3 laps until it completely falls off. So I knew I had to make some moves, and I did one on Valentino. And then I already noticed, yeah, okay, this is not going to get any further. And in general, I feel like the track has no grip at all. Especially in the final lap, I struggled a lot. I nearly lost the car out of turn 2. But yeah, I knew maximum P2 after that Cameron crash with race. I don't know what happens there after the race, but we will see. But yeah, I knew it was going to be hard, so I'm fine with whatever the outcome would have been.
It was very much a race to just you stayed in there, and it was what came out on top, Ryan. But yeah, well, congratulations on that second place. Could still potentially be a race victory due to stewards' inquiries, but of course, as you mentioned, it's been such a tricky season compared to last. Of course, you probably were one of the favourites coming into this season. Just how difficult has it been mentally to get past everything, get over every hurdle, and keep going for every race?
Yeah, well, like last season, I don't really have time or the motivation to practice for races because you see they are quite chaotic most of the time, so I don't really see the point in practicing. But yeah, obviously, it wasn't the easiest start with four races without points. Then last week, I finally got my first points, and also was unlucky to get spun around, like in lap 30 or whatever that was last week. So yeah, definitely something that is good for my season. And looking at the standings right now, it is very close on top, apart from Zorzo, obviously. But yeah, maybe another P2, P3 like last season is in there still. So yeah, those points from P2 or P1, whatever that is in the end, will get me a good chance.
Yeah, it certainly will shoot you right up the standings, actually, and probably in contention for a top 3 finish. So if things carry on as they are now, you could see yourself potentially shoot up through the order, and you never know, you could be runner-up again.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I wasn't runner-up last season, unfortunately. Lost it in the final, but yeah, putting the salt in the wound. Yeah, I know.
I forgot about that, to be fair.
No, it's fine. Yeah, we will see. I mean, I needed those points. I think I was P23 before that, so yeah, not where I want to be.
No, not at all, Ryan. But you are starting to bounce back, and that was a drive of Ryan of last season. Hopefully you see that once again. But of course, we head to Austria next week. Will you be racing? And are you confident around the Red Bull Ring?
Yes, I will be racing. Confidence, I don't know. It depends. In PSGL, for example, I didn't really feel that confident. So I'll definitely need to work on that race setup. Well, quali is always my weakness, so I'm not gonna bother to work on that one. But we will see how that goes.
Hopefully it goes.
Thank you very much, Ryan, for joining us. And as mentioned, I might not be, but definitely Max will be with you next week, so good luck.
All right, thanks for commentating. Have a good evening.
You too. Right then, let's get ready to round everything off, ladies and gents. We've heard from our top three. It was a very entertaining race. That went all the way down to the wire. I don't even think we needed the safety car for that to be entertaining, but it just added that little bit extra spice and that little bit extra flavour.
Yeah, just a little bit of a flambe amongst the lovely barbecues we've been having here, and it definitely was entertaining. A lot of different mindsets of how to approach the strategy, a lot of different calls in terms of which tires, because it was a little early. The hards definitely was the better call. So yeah, I think the safety car was the right amount of spice that we needed. But it's also led to a lot of drama. The stewards' room is going to be packed. I can already see inquiries being dumped into this steward room already. The whole standard is still not settled, and there's going to be a few broken egos as well coming tomorrow or the day after.
Yeah, it's not all over yet. Those results were certainly provisional results from this evening. But let's quickly run you through your calendar one last time. Of course, I mentioned we head to Austria next week before we take some time off for Christmas and the New Year. We'll take a couple weeks away before we come back on the 5th of January for a trip to the Middle East, a trip to Bahrain, where we'll then head to China, Sao Paulo, to round off the season. 3 races within 3 weeks to round it off in the new year. But next week, we end the 25 off with a bang. 2025 will come to an end at Spielberg. We shall see who comes out on top there. Will Zorzo be crowned just before we head into that break? Or will we head into the new year searching for a new champion still to come? Well, that is going to be us. All from us here in the commentary box. I have been Max Ring. Hyper has been Hyper. A very big thank you for joining me in the comms box this evening. Hyper has been an absolute pleasure. But, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all very much for watching. This would not be possible without you guys or the drivers as well. And we shall catch you next week. 8 p.m. GMT, 9 p.m. Central European Time. Next Monday, it could be Zorzo crowned the champion. Or will we have to wait a little bit longer? That will be answered next week. See you then. Thank you and goodbye.